guys, it's me, the Witch of the Wilderness, and I'm back with a much better version of my Samhain video. So I've deleted my old video and I've replaced it with this one, as I have a lot more information about the sabbat to include in this video. So yeah, here we go. So Samhain is considered by Wiccans and pagans to be one of the greater 4 sabbats in the wheel of the year, and is considered by some as a time to celebrate the lives of those who have passed on, and it often involves paying respects to ancestors, family members, elders of the faith, friends, pets and other loved ones who have died. In some rituals, the spirits of the departed are invited to attend the festivities. It is seen as a festival of darkness, which is balanced at the opposite point of the wheel by the festival of Beltane, which is celebrated as the festival of light and fertility. So many pagans believe that Samhain, that the veil between this world and the afterlife is at its thinnest, and this makes it a whole lot easier to communicate with those who have left this world. So Samhain is a Gaelic festival which marks the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, or the darker half of the year. In the Northern Hemisphere it is held on the 1st of November, but with celebrations often beginning on the evening of the 31st of October, because the Celtic day began and ended at sunset. So it isn't necessarily a creepy, morbid holiday that's obsessed with death. Instead, it reaches for themes that are deeper than that, tying in with nature's rhythms. Because in many places, Samhain coincides with the end of the growing season. Vegetation dies back with killing frosts, and therefore literally death is in the air. It has many different names, so Samhain, All Souls Night, Feast of the Dead, Festival of Remembrance, Feast of Apples, and it can also be classed as our New Year in the pagan and Wiccan community. So basically, Samhain is one of the major festivals of the Wheel of the Year. Many pagans view Samhain as the most important festival in the Wheel of the Year. It is the third and final harvest festival of nuts and berries, and a fire festival. All the harvest is in, all is complete, it is the end of the cycle of birth and growth, and are now at the point of death. So that's one way of looking at it. But many pagans and Wiccans believe that the god, as Sun King, is sacrificed back to the land with the seed until the winter solstice, and the goddess, who is now as the crone, mourns him until his rebirth at Yule. He travels the underworld, learning its wisdom, and is the time of the descent into darkness, of preconception, out of which new life and new ideas will eventually emerge. So there are many ways in which we can celebrate this Sabbath. The first one that I like to do is dress and decorate my altar. So if you're new to the tradition and you don't have a permanent altar in place, then you can easily set up a table or a tray to leave in place for 3 days prior to and including Samhain. You decorate the altar with symbols of late fall, such as skulls, skeletons, grave rubbings, bones that you found or collected, harvest foods such as pumpkins, squash, root vegetables, nuts, acorns, dried leaves and berries, dark breads and dried slices of apple. You might also choose to offer apples or pomegranates, because to Wiccans apples are the fruit of death, while pomegranates are the fruit of life, and this I feel represents the balance between the two that Samhain celebrates. You could also leave mulled cider, wine or mead on your altar by pouring it into your chalice or glass. And another nice touch is to put photos of your deceased loved ones on your altar and say a small prayer or greeting to them when you work at your new altar. You can also dress your altar in the corresponding colours of oranges, browns, purples, whites and silvers. However, the main colours for this Sabbath are black for death and endings, orange for the vitality of life within death, and purple for wisdom, insight and inspiration. So, because Samhain is traditionally known as the night when the veil between our world and the spirit world is at its most fragile, it's generally the night when we know for sure that the dead will hear us speak, and maybe even speak back. So it's a time of death and resurrection, of new beginnings, fond farewells, and this is why in pagan traditions it has become so popular to hold a dumb supper in honour of the dead. In this case, the word dumb refers to being silent. So when holding a dumb supper, there are a few simple guidelines to follow. First of all, make sure your dining area is sacred, either by casting a circle or smudging or any other method you prefer. Turn off mobile phones, televisions, and eliminate all outside distractions. Secondly, remember that this is a solemn and silent occasion, not a carnival. It's a time of silence, as the name reminds us. So, for this, you may wish to leave younger children out of the ceremony also. Ask each guest to bring a note to the dinner. The note's contents will be kept private and should contain what they wish to say to their deceased friend or relative who is represented at the dumb supper. So you will set a place at the table for each guest and then reserve the head of the table for the place of the spirits. Although it is nice to have a place setting for every individual that you wish to honour, sometimes that's just not possible. So instead you can use a tea light candle at the spirit setting to represent each of the deceased, and then shroud the spirit chair in a black or white cloth. So no one may speak from the time they enter the dining room, and as each guest enters the room, they should take a moment to stop at the spirit chair and offer a silent prayer to the dead. Then once everyone is seated, join hands and take a moment to silently bless the meal. The host or hostess, who should be seated directly across from the spirit chair, then serves the meal to guests in order of age, from the oldest to the youngest. And no one should eat until all of the guests, including the spirit, are served. However, keep in mind that there is no one right way to hold a dumb supper, so it's whatever you feel is right for you. Another way you can celebrate Samhain is by spreading your festivities out over 3 days in the traditional Celtic way. Dances, fires, rituals and feasts are all ways of connecting with the special energy at this time of year, and so would often be spread out over 3 days. Another way that you can celebrate is to build a bonfire or a small fire. Lighting a bonfire is one of the most honoured Samhain traditions. The fire symbolises the welcoming of a new season, which is winter. So choose a place that is far away from buildings and trees to light your fire. So the bonfire can be the beginning of your evening of communicating with your departed loved ones. You can invite friends and family to join you and hold hands around the fire, sing, chant prayers and dance. And this also invites the spirits into your celebration. You can also tell stories around the campfire. So this is a great time to share memories of your loved ones who have died and keep their memory alive. However, before you have a fire, obviously make sure you check with local authorities, just to make sure that the location you've chosen is a place where bonfires and small fires are legal. You don't want to end up in a cell. So if you can't build a bonfire in your area, you can use candlelight to observe the ritual of lighting a fire to welcome in the new season. And if you are able to have a fire, then you can always write down the habits, activities and feelings that you want to let go of and burn your list in the Samhain fire while stating your intentions. So at Samhain, some people choose to wear headdresses of antlers, skulls, bones, dried leaves, nuts and pine cones to honour the dead. So that may be something you could do if you're crafty or creative and have the time and the supplies to make a headdress. Another way to celebrate is to hold a divination ceremony. So many Wiccans seek divine guidance through a variety of methods. Samhain, with its inherent spirituality, is the perfect time to practice your favourite form of divination. You can use tarot, runes, or scrying like crystal balls to seek guidance. However, take notes of any messages or inspirations that you receive during your ceremony, and take some time during the evening as well to reflect on the guidance that you received. So another way to celebrate Samhain is to go for a nature walk, which is something you can do with your children, family and friends. You can collect sticks, pine cones, acorns and fruit on your walk and then take them home to make decorations with, or you can even leave them as offerings for the deities that are typically related to the sabbat. So Ishtar, the horned god, Orsis, Loki, Persephone, Cernunnos, as a way to connect with them. You can also perform divine invocations, so you honour and call upon the divine in one or more sacred forms associated with Samhain, such as the crone goddess and the horn god of nature. You invite them to aid you in your remembrance of the dead and in your understanding of the cycle of life, death and rebirth. If you have lost loved ones in the pandemic in the past year, ask these divine ones to comfort you and help to support you. And that's everything I can think of about Samhain. So yeah, that's it. A video all about the origins of my favourite sabbat and ways in which you can celebrate it for yourself. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and I will see you all in the next video. Blessed be, guys!